initial dive on the wreck will be a short one, only 20 minutes. So far, few people besides Finnish authorities have laid eyes on the Vrouw Maria for 2¼ centuries. With autumn's progression, the nights grew longer and the weather less predictable. Lorenz fulfilled his obligation to stop at the Danish customs house to pay duty on his cargo before entering the Sound. The manifest listed his cargo in detail. The final item was vaguely listed as assorted merchandise. Once in the Baltic, Lorenz sailed on a northerly course to the mouth of the Gulf of Finland. The weather was worsening and night had fallen. Instead of bearing east for St. Petersburg, the Vrouw Maria continued north, and in the darkness, unwittingly sailed in amongst the treacherous shoals of the archipelago off the coast of Finland. Just as the crew gathered for prayers, the ship struck a rock with such violence that the hull was breached and the rudder torn away. Fearing the worst, the crew abandoned the ship impaled on the rock, leaving the Vrouw Maria to weather the storm alone. Amazingly, the Vrouw Maria survived the night. Their hopes renewed, Lorenz and his men set to work hoping to refloat the ship. For the next several days, they fought an uphill battle to pump out the half-submerged hold. For whatever reason, they recovered only 6 of the many works of art on board. On the evening of the 5th day of frantic pumping, a squall blew up. When the men returned to the site the next day, they discovered only open water. In the cover of darkness, the Vrouw Maria had been driven off the rock by the storm and had drifted away to sink in an unknown location, never to be seen again until she was found in 1999.
I had the surveyed drawings of the wreck, so I knew she was well preserved. But still, in my mind, as I was descending, I was wondering, what can you expect from a ship that's been on the bottom for 2¼ centuries? As I swam over the starboard rail, I was in awe. To see the Finnish divers there in the darkness, going about their work, was an incredible sight.
Working in that dark, deep, cold water, you're confronted with a ship that isn't fully visible in all directions. You've got to work with it carefully, and the archaeologists have to map each and every centimeter of that wreck before any work can continue. This is a cultural treasure that belongs not only to the people of Finland, but to the world. And everything that you do will have an impact on the ship. And so you do it carefully, meticulously, scientifically. The procedures laid out to not touch the wreck, to document it using video technology and digital mapping, were the right procedures to take. It's much like being a doctor and not wanting to do invasive surgery on a patient before you know exactly what's inside. That's why there are CAT scans and arthroscopic approaches to surgery. That same approach on a shipwreck means that we're not damaging it, we're not doing something that's irreversible. While that doesn't appeal to all the impatient people out there in the world, it does mean that when you've got a priceless relic, you have only one chance of doing this work and doing it correctly.